bystanders watched this motherfucker climb up a ladder. Hey, he's got a gun. And it didn't get communicated. Certainly not in time to prevent the shooting. What the I mean, were they at Arby's? You know, Arby's has burgers, you know. I just saw a commercial for it. They got burgers. Maybe they were getting one of Arby's new burgers. I mean, this is ridiculous. And you've got somebody here. It doesn't matter who's in the seat at this point because guess what? They're going to put a cattle prod, you know, right up her ass and turn it on full throttle. And as it should be, she should be gone, period. Shorter than the range of the firearm. Good question. Good question. Why wasn't a cop sitting on, oh, it was too hot? It wasn't a sanitary environment? Was it just, you know, I don't know, slope? I mean, there should have been somebody on that roof. There certainly shouldn't have been a f***ing ladder up against the wall. Hey, he's got a gun. He's climbing the ladder.
Your frustration.
Let me ask you this. Were any of those requests denied to President Trump's detail after you knew about the Iranian threat?
What I can tell you, again, I don't know the specifics, is that there are times when
How do you not know the specifics given the gravity of what the f is going on? This should be your mission 24/7.
well, that's bullshit. So, Mr.
That's You're not supposed to talk like that on the floor of Congress. One of the things John Malkovich says in that movie, anybody can kill the president, you just have to give up your life to do it.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your personal board-certified criminal defense lawyer. And what does that mean? That means I'm a tried, true, and tested criminal defense lawyer. I go to trial, and today I am joined with our content genius behind a mic. I think he's on camera somewhere. And say hello, Michael.
Hello, Dad.
No, not Dad. It's not me. You're
Bruce, CLR Bruce Rivers.
Anyway, today we're reacting to the cross-examination, basically, of the Secret Service director. The Secret Service director is on the fucking hot seat for what happened in Pennsylvania when Donald Trump survived an assassination attempt. Now, we did a reaction to the assassination attempt and talked a little bit about the legal implications. And I don't normally comment on this kind of stuff, but I think this is really a serious, serious issue. And so we're going to comment on it, and Michael and I will have a little discussion about it, a little bit of discussion. This was a colossal failure, an absolute colossal failure. But before we get to that, our sponsor is eForms.com. eForms.com. Let's say you are a disgraced Secret Service director and you're looking for new employment. But, you know, you're not feeling the greatest. You're feeling kind of down in your luck and you need a durable medical power of attorney because you're not sure where your life is going. So what do? You go to eForms.com and you get maybe you're the disgraced former Secret Service director and you start an OnlyFans page down in your basement. Well, you need an agreement for that, right? So you go to eForms.com. Or maybe you're a disgraced Secret Service director and you want to sell your motorcycle because you know you're not going to be able to afford much because you don't have a job. So what do? You go to eForms.com and you get a bill of sale. Whatever kind of legal form you need, you go to eForms.com. That's what I would do. And you avoid the high cost of a lawyer or anybody else. Anyway, eForms.com. Michael's drinking coffee. eForms.com. So here we go. And I haven't seen this yet, so we'll just see. You know, and keep in mind, this is all political bullshit, and I'm really not a political dude. I'm mostly independent. I'm slightly Democratic, but mostly independent. I just don't like the vitriol. And they always try to get their sound bites. So we'll have to. It's not like real questioning, like if I was questioning them.
I have to say, Director, we're pretty close to the halfway point during this. You answered more questions with an ABC reporter than you have with members of Congress. We have a lot more questions. The American people are demanding that we get answers.
Then they ask them.
And that's what the purpose of this hearing is today. So I'm sure a lot of the questions that have already been asked are going to be asked again, and hopefully we can get some answers to those questions. I strongly implore you to answer those questions. You're here with a subpoena, and we expect you to answer.
All right, so she's there by subpoena. Subpoena is a legal document, a court order, and in this case, a congressional order, commanding the presence of somebody. And if you don't honor the subpoena by either showing up or producing the documents that they're requesting without a legal excuse, you can be held in contempt of Congress and you can go to prison. Bannon, like Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is in prison now because he didn't respond to a congressional subpoena.
The questions. Chair now recognizes Ms. Mace from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Cheadle, the American people are watching, and they're wondering if there are any questions you can answer honestly today. So, Director Cheadle, I have a series of questions, very specific questions. I want very specific answers. Most of my questions are going to demand a yes or no answer. Do you understand?
I do.
Okay, my first question. Both
You know, when you do that in court, when you demand a yes or no answer, they're usually gotcha questions. So, you know, as opposed to like, when did you stop beating your wife? I mean, so, and they're usually gotcha questions, and 9 times out of 10, you cannot answer the questions with a yes or no. And then they'll cut them off, and so you just watch what she does here.
Both sides of the aisle today have asked for your resignation. Would you like to use my 5 minutes to draft your resignation letter, yes or no?
No, thank you.
What
Really riveting question.
was this a colossal failure?
Oh, what did I call it? I called it a colossal failure. Yes, it was.
Yes or no? Was it a colossal failure is the question, yes or no?
I have admitted this is a terrible.
This is a yes or no series of questions. Was this
She answered the question in the affirmative. There's no sense in beating her up, but it was a colossal failure. Absolutely.
a series of questions? Was this a colossal failure, yes or no?
Yes.
She could have avoided all that just by saying yes and being straightforward.
Was this tragedy preventable, yes or no?
Yes, of course it was.
Yes.
Has the Secret Service been transparent with this committee?
Yes.
Would you say the fact that we had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today as being transparent, yes or no?
I have always been
Yes
eager to
or no?
That's one of those questions that is not a yes or no question.
Yes
to
or no?
come
You didn't
and
want to
talk
answer
to
the
the
question.
committee.
We had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today. That is not transparent, by the way. You stated earlier, Secret Service is not political. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, would you say leaking your opening statement to Punchbowl News, Politico's Playbook, and Washington Post several hours before you sent it to this committee as being political, yes or no?
I have no idea how my statement got out.
Well, that's bullshit. So, Mr.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. You're not supposed to talk like that on the floor of Congress.
Chairman, I would like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record articles by Punchbowl News, Political Playbook, Washington Post, all done at 5:24 a.m., 6:12 a.m., 6:34 a.m., a solid 3 to 4 hours before this committee got your statement.
Without objection to ordered.
Okay. Is the Secret Service fully cooperating with our committee?
Yes.
Okay, you say you're fully cooperating with this committee. On July 15th, this committee sent you a list of demands of information that we wanted. Has the Secret Service provided this committee a complete list of all law enforcement personnel that were there that day? Have you done that? Have you provided a list to the Oversight Committee? Yes or
I
no?
will have to get back to you on that.
That is a no. Have you?
See, this is just theater. That's all this is theater. But that being said, the shooting was only 8 days ago. They're still gathering all the information, and less than, to gather all the names of all the law enforcement personnel. You've got county sheriffs, you got local law enforcement, you probably got state troopers, and you've got all Secret Service and probably divisions of Homeland Security. I mean, that's not a small task to put every name together that was there.
Provided all audio and video recordings in your possession to this committee, as we asked on July 15th, yes or no?
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of shit today. You're just being
How do you talk like that on the floor of Congress?
completely dishonest.
Mr. Chairman,
Completely dishonest.
Mr. Chairman,
Chairman, I want to.
I'm
Come
gonna
on.
We have to
continue.
maintain decorum in this committee,
Any,
no matter how
have you provided
upset we
any
get.
and all memos to this committee that we've asked you on July 15th? Have you provided all memorandums within the Secret Service?
I would have to get back to you on
That is a no. You are being dishonest or lying. Like you're being dishonest here with this committee. These are important questions that the American people want answers to, and you're just dodging and talking around it in generalities. And we had to subpoena you to be here, and you won't even answer the questions. We have asked you repeatedly to answer our questions. This isn't hard. These are not hard questions. Have you provided us all communications from the Secret Service related to that day and that rally? Have you provided?
You know, here's the thing. It's been just a little over a week since this happened. And I'm not here to try to defend the Secret Service director because she should be gone, honestly. But, I mean, the subpoena went out on the 15th. That's, what, 6 days ago? I mean, to gather all the information that they're talking about, very difficult to get it all within 6 days.
Provided this committee. We've asked for this information on July 15th. Have you
Not only that, the rules do allow for, I think, 30 days to respond to the subpoena.
provided any of this information that this committee has asked of the Secret Service? Any of it?
I'll have to get back to you on
Have
that.
you even read this letter that we sent you? Did you even read this?
Yes.
Okay. And you have said you don't know, you have no idea. Well, the answer is no. We haven't gotten a single document or piece of information or data from you or your agency
And it's only been 6 days. I mean, this is just theater.
in related to the rally that we have asked you for. So,
But I will tell you this, sitting in a fucking hot seat like that can't be any fun for her. I mean, she's got to be gone. How do you survive tenure when your only responsibility is to cover a rooftop and make sure that the president gets shot at? And people are in the crowd watch him climb the roof. And there's a fucking ladder. There's a ladder on the building. There's a ladder on the building. It's 150 yards or thereabouts from the president of the from the former president of the United States. Somebody who's got Secret Service protection.
was this attempted assassination of Donald Trump a failure of training or execution or both?
I think that those are answers that we need to
Training,
examine.
execution, or both? Which one?
It's not training. This is not training. They know what the fuck they're doing. It's execution. It's communication. You know, the problem that you had, I think, you know, I don't know if you're in such a small town that they didn't have the manpower, but there should have been somebody on that roof. There was somebody on the other roof that was right by Trump. There was a sniper right there. Why wasn't there somebody, even a local law enforcement? If you would have had a local cop sitting on that roof, which is what should have, you know, I'll tell you, I think I told this in the last video we responded to. My father was a fireman, and George W. Bush comes into town. He's covering a bridge. He had the mobile command unit for the fire department, and he posted up on the bridge and on one of the bridge covering the freeway that George Bush Sr. went under. And so he was there. But that's the president. This is a former president. So Secret Service detail is a little bit different.
Do you hear her response as to why they didn't do that roof?
No, what was her response?
It was because it was a sloped roof, and it could be dangerous for the Secret Service agent.
That is the biggest crock of shit
Yeah,
I've ever heard in
here-
my life. She needs to just be gone.
I think those are answers.
All right. How many Secret Service personnel have lost their jobs due to this colossal failure?
Well, it's only been a week, you know, so, I mean, they need to do a postmortem on the thing. But I guarantee you she's gone. She has to be gone. How can you survive that?
At this time, none.
How many Secret Service personnel have been required to take a refresher course on how not to let people shoot Donald Trump?
Do you think they offer one? That's what I'm saying. These kinds of questions aren't meant to be productive. They're not meant to get to the truth of anything. They're just political theater.
Our personnel are currently operational. We are examining the facts of this investigation. and we will make the changes necessary.
What time did law enforcement become aware that there was an individual on the roof with a clear line of sight to President Trump?
When Donald Trump grabbed his fucking ear. I mean, I just don't know how that sniper didn't see him crawling up on the roof. He had to have seen him. There was a local cop that saw him and climbed up to the roof, and then the shooter turned his gun towards the cop, and the cop went back down the ladder. How that wasn't communicated in real time to the Secret Service and to everybody, and to get Trump down. I mean, it was like, I don't know, was it 90 seconds or something like that? I mean, there's just no way that should have happened.
I am still verifying timelines.
Of course, 9 days in, you have no answers. How many minutes went by between the time law enforcement saw and took photos of Crooks and the shooting? How many minutes?
I am still verifying timelines.
57 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Before I recognize Ms. Stansberry,
I don't like these kind of hearings because they are just political theater, but it's got to be tough for her to be sitting in that hot seat. It just has to be, but it should be. It absolutely should be.
just for the record, the Secret Service has an annual budget of around $3.1 billion, and I believe around 8,000 employees. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Obviously, there were many security failures on the day of the attempted assassination and leading up to that day. Let's start with the building that the shooter used to shoot President Trump from. At any point Saturday, did the Secret Service have an agent on top of that roof?
Sir, I'm sure, as you can imagine, that we are just...
Sir, as you can imagine, we're just sure about it. No, was there somebody up there or not? And there wasn't. And why wasn't there? Why wasn't there? I mean, it was 140, 150 yards away. You know, with the right rifle and a better marksman, and I guess the guy got kicked out of the gun club because he was a bad shot, and he proved himself to be a bad shot. But I mean, it was just an inch the other way, and he, I suppose one could argue that an inch the other way, he would have missed him altogether.
9 days out from this incident, and there's still an ongoing investigation. And so I want to make sure that any information that we are providing to you is factual.
You can't, okay. Why did the Secret Service not, can you answer why the Secret Service didn't place a single agent on the roof?
We are still looking into the advanced process and the decisions that were made.
Okay. Wasn't that building within the perimeter that should be secured? Do we agree with that?
The building was outside of the perimeter on the day of the visit. But again, that is one of the things that during the investigation we want to take a look at and determine whether or not.
I'll tell you this, I would not want her job at this juncture. I think it would be very difficult to be in the Secret Service. You have to be right every fucking time. And some dickhead like Crooks only has to be right once. And he gave his life for what? For nothing. And just had his head fucking pasted with bullets from the Secret Service.
Other decisions should have been made.
One of the things that you said, I believe in an interview, that there wasn't an agent on the roof because it was a sloped roof. Is that normal, and do you fear that immediately creates an opportunity for future would-be assassins to look for a slanted roof? I mean, this is a huge question that every American has. Why wasn't a Secret Service agent on the roof? And there have been reports that agents were supposed to be on the roof, but it was hot that day and they didn't want to be on the roof. Can you answer any of those questions, Director?
So I appreciate you asking me that question, Chairman. I should have been more clear in my answer when I spoke about where we place personnel in that interview. What I can tell you is that there was a plan in place to provide overwatch, and we are still looking into responsibilities and who was going to provide overwatch. But
bystanders watched this motherfucker climb up a ladder. Hey, he's got a gun. And it didn't get communicated. Certainly not in time to prevent the shooting. What the fuck? I mean, were they at Arby's? You know, Arby's has burgers, you know. I just saw a commercial for it. They got burgers. Maybe they were getting one of Arby's new burgers. I mean, this is ridiculous. And you've got somebody here... It doesn't matter who's in the seat at this point, because guess what? They're going to put a cattle prod, you know, right up her ass and turn it on full throttle. And as it should be. She should be gone. Period.
But The Secret Service in general, not speaking specifically to this incident, when we are providing overwatch, whether that be through counter snipers or other technology, prefer to have sterile rooftops.
Did the Secret Service
Sterile rooftops. What does that mean, sterile rooftops? I don't know what that means.
use any drones for surveillance that day?
So again, I'm not going to get into specifics of that day in itself, but there are times during a security plan that the Secret Service does deploy an asset like a drone.
There were reports that the shooter used a drone just a few hours before the rally start time. Is that accurate?
I have heard those same reports, and again, am waiting for the final report.
Do you know, if you can't answer the question, that's your answer. But can you answer this? Do you know, I'm not asking yes or no, but do you know if the shooter used a drone before the shooting?
That information has been passed to us from the FBI.
How many Secret Service agents were assigned to President Trump on the day of the rally?
Again, I'm not going to get into the specifics of the numbers of personnel that we had there, but we feel that there was a sufficient number.
See, certain questions she really can't answer because they're operational, right? And so to the extent that you have a question you can't answer because it compromises security, well, you don't want to do that. You want to say, well, we had our normal procedures have somebody posted here, somebody posted here. I mean, you start laying that all out, guess what you do? You give somebody else your plan. You don't want to do that. Absolutely, you don't want to do that. But they can't blast her for that. But what can they blast her for? The president getting fucking blasted. I mean, fuck. I mean, it is so common sense.
Of agents assigned.
There are reports that several agents assigned to the rally on July 13th were temporary agents, agents not normally assigned to President Trump. Is that accurate?
What I can tell you is that the agents that were assigned to former President Trump are Secret Service agents that provide close protection to him, and that was what was actual on that day.
How many temporary agents were there that day?
Quite frequently, sir, during campaign events, the Secret Service utilizes agents from HSI.
The problem with this is an agent isn't a temporary agent like you go to a fucking temp agency and get some schmo who can't get a job anywhere else. I mean, they're fucking agents. You know, they're highly trained Secret Service agent protecting, you know, an asset, meaning the former president of the United States, Donald Trump. But this isn't an issue about how many people were around Donald Trump at the time. It's an issue about who the fuck was on that goddamn rooftop. I mean, honestly, it is an absolute colossal failure.
Oh, or the Department of Homeland Security.
You don't know
to
how
help
many, or you
supplement
can't answer?
our plan.
Have the investigators reconstructed the shooter's precise movements over the past days, weeks, and months?
So, again,
We need to have confidence that if the FBI is leading this investigation, that they're leading a credible investigation, because there's some of us sitting up here today that don't have a lot of confidence in the FBI. So I will repeat the question.
I know the FBI. I know a lot of FBI agents. And guess what? They're motivated. They're motivated, they're intelligent, and they're dogged. In other words, they don't give up until they get their person. Her answer right now should just really be, yes, we are in the process of doing that.
So I will repeat the question. Have the investigators reconstructed the shooter's precise moments over the past days, weeks, and months?
I understand your question, Chairman, and I share your concerns about wanting to make sure that we have factual information. The FBI is conducting a criminal investigation. The Secret Service is conducting an internal investigation. There are a number of OIG investigations, and there is the external investigation that the President
Last question for me.
At least his questioning isn't so pointed, you know, and sensational.
Before July 13th, had the Trump detail requested additional resources?
What I can tell you is that for the event on July 13th, the details that were the assets that were requested for that day were given.
Okay. My time has expired. Chair now recognizes Ranking Member Raskin for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr.
We're going to do two more questionings. And you saw the difference between the first and the second questioner, right? The second congressman actually, I think, got to more of the heart of what was going on. The first one, just theater. You're not going to have all the information to Congress within a week. There's just so much going on, so much information. And you got all these different people going after the same information. So you're not going to get it all to them in a week. And the Secret Service is not going to stonewall Congress on this issue. They're just not going to. But should she be gone? Yeah, no question. So let's see what my good buddy and wrestling coach, Jim Jordan, has to say.
Mr. Jordan from Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director, were you guessing or lying? The day after President Trump is shot, Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi said, quote, "The assertion that a member of the former president's security team requested additional security resources that the U.S. Secret Service or the Department of Homeland Security rebuffed is absolutely false." The next day, Secretary Mayorkas said, "That is an unequivocally false assertion. We had not received any request for additional security measures that were rebuffed." But 5 days later, the Washington Post said this: "Top officials repeatedly rejected requests from Donald Trump's security detail for more personnel."
Well, first of all, Jim Jordan should be wearing a jacket. I know he doesn't like to wear a jacket, but you're in the halls of Congress. You should have respect. When I'm in court, I don't just show up like Jim Jordan without my jacket on. Sorry, but Jim. Second of all, were you lying or were you confused? That's just those gotcha questions that don't mean anything.
The next day, the New York Times said this: Mr. Guglielmi acknowledged that the Secret Service had turned down some requests for additional federal security assets for Mr. Trump's detail. So which is it? Because both statements can't be true. Were you guessing or lying when you said you didn't turn down requests from President Trump's detail?
Neither, sir, and I appreciate the question.
Well, what were you doing? Because those statements don't jive.
So what I can tell you is that for the event in Butler, there were no requests that were denied. As far as requests...
Well, maybe they got tired of asking.
Well, that's a good question.
Maybe you turned them down so darn much, they said, not worth asking. How many times did you turn them down ahead of that?
I think that it is important to distinguish between what some people may view as a denial of an asset or a request.
Well, is Mr. Guglielmi your spokesperson? He said
I don't think that this was an issue of assets. This wasn't an issue of we didn't have enough assets. This was an issue, no question about it, that the assets weren't executed and deployed properly. There was a cop right there that saw, and people watched him go up a fucking ladder. Somebody should have been, first of all, there should never have been a ladder on that building. You had cops there, and the cops should have known to take that ladder down. Let's just start right there. Had the ladder not been there, how would he have gotten up? Second of all, once they start seeing him crawl up a ladder with a gun, and people are saying he's got a gun, it just should never have happened. There should have been somebody up on that roof, and it should have been probably local law enforcement.
Acknowledged the Secret Service had turned down some requests. I'm asking how many?
A denial of a request does not equal a vulnerability.
Well, tell me what it is.
There are a number of ways that threats and risks can be mitigated with a number of different assets, whether that be through personnel, whether that be through technology or other resources.
Well, tell the committee which it was. They asked for additional help in some form or another. You told them no. How many times did you tell them no, and what did you tell them no to?
Again,
Now, that's a reasonable question, actually. That's absolutely reasonable.
cannot speak to specific incidents, but I can tell you in general terms, the Secret Service is judicious with their resources based on...
What does some requests mean? How many times? Some indicate requests is plural. So more than once they asked for additional help and you turned them down. What did they ask for and how many times did you turn them down? Pretty basic questions.
So again, without having all of the details in front of me, sir, what I can tell...
She should have all the details in front of her on that issue. Just how many times did they ask for X, Y, or Z? How many times were they turned down. You know, and I know this is kind of not my bailiwick. This is, you know, but this is important to all of us, isn't it? I mean, and when you watch these questions being answered and asked, it is going to have that dynamic of cross-examination and somebody getting their ass kicked. I mean, and this is not a partisan issue because this goes to Joe Biden's detail, you know, after Joe Biden gets out of office, you know, the non-president, former president detail for the Secret Service and the protection. You know, Trump, say what you want. You may like him, you might hate him, but so what? He's a former president. He's entitled to Secret Service protection unless and until he, you know, either passes away or until something else happens, you know, like he gets stripped of it for whatever reason. And I don't know that there's anything that could happen that would cause that.
What I can tell you is that there are times...
You didn't get briefed on how many times you turned down the Trump detail when they asked for additional help?
I'm sorry.
You didn't get briefed on that before you came to this hearing, knowing you were going to get asked that question?
What I can tell you is that in generic terms, when details...
By the way, Jim Jordan's only got one volume, and that's, I can't believe I'm not still a wrestling coach with little boys.
Make a request, there are times that there are alternate ways to cover off on that threat or that risk.
But that's not what he said. He said they were denied certain requests, some requests. This is your spokesperson, not me talking. This is the Secret Service talking. And what a change from absolutely false, unequivocally false to, oh, by the way, there were some times where we didn't give them what they wanted. That's a huge change in 5 days. And the fact that you can't answer how many times you did that, that's pretty darn frustrating, not just for me, but for the country.
I agree with that. She should be on top of her shit and be prepared to give answers that give confidence. And she doesn't inspire confidence.
Your frustration.
Let me ask you this. Were any of those requests denied to President Trump's detail after you knew about the Iranian threat?
What I can tell you, again, I don't know the specifics, is that there are times when
How do you not know the specifics given the gravity of what the fuck is going on? This should be your mission 24/7 especially after the shooting. You know, I mean, how do you not know? You know, your post-mortem after this fucking thing has got to be ongoing, but you should have answers.
we can fill a request. It doesn't necessarily have to be with a Secret Service asset or resource. We can fill that request with locally available assets.
You spoke to anyone at the White House since July 13th?
Yes, I have.
Who'd you talk to?
I have briefed the President and the Vice President.
Talked to the First Lady?
No, I have not.
Talked to the White House staff? Anyone in the White House communications?
No, I have not.
Have you talked to the counter sniper who took the shot that took out the bad guy?
Yes, I have.
And can you tell us about that conversation?
I would not want to reveal conversations that I've had with my employees.
But that's exactly the kind of information the American people want to know. American people who pay your salary.
I understand. This is an ongoing investigation, and
Who's all doing the investigating?
And that is true. You're not going to talk about an ongoing investigation in a public hearing. You want the answer to those questions, Mr. Jordan? Get her in a private hearing and make it all private.
Secret Service. I know the Inspector General, but is there also an internal investigation in addition to the Inspector General?
We are conducting a mission assurance investigation internally, yes.
You know what it looks like, Director? It looks like you won't answer some pretty basic questions. It looks like you got a 9% raise and you cut corners when it came to protecting one of the most important individuals, most well-known individuals on the planet. A former president, likely the guy who's going to be the next president. Looks like you guys were cutting corners.
I don't think so.
You guys were cutting corners. That's what it looks like to me. Is that true?
I am here today because I want to answer questions, but I also want to be cautious.
You might want to, but you haven't answered. I don't think you've answered one question from the chairman, the ranking member, or me. Well, we got a lot of other people asking. We'll see if you're.
I don't think she's dodging questions necessarily. I mean, she did on certain things like the ongoing investigation, but I think she just doesn't know. And I think that's a failure. You know, I mean, that's an absolute failure.
Apparently, she's
Director
pretty
Cheadle,
harsh on
respectfully,
them too.
What you had just laid out. about
Everyone's kind of
60
on the same
days.
page.
It's
Thank you,
nonpartisan.
Mr. Chairman.
So we're going to do one more, and that's AOC, just so we get both sides of the aisle. So we got one more at AOC, just because this is not a partisan issue at all. At all. And this Secret Service director needs to fucking go.
Director Cheadle, respectfully, what you had just laid out about 60 days. We are currently in the midst of an especially concentrated presidential campaign in the moment. That is also paired with, of course, elections happening across the country that are happening in about 100 days. So the notion of a report coming out in 60 days when the threat environment is so high in the United States, irrespective of party, is not acceptable. And I think it's very important to understand that. This is not theater. This is not about jockeying. This is about the safety of some of the most highly targeted and valued targets internationally and domestically.
One of the things I'd be most worried about is somebody doing a copycat on either side. You know, oh, we're going to avenge that shooting. Let's shoot Kamala Harris. You know, a black woman, you know, running for president. You tell me she doesn't get a fucking target on her back? She absolutely does. Or somebody saying, hey, nobody finished the job, I'll finish the job. And whoever's going to do this, you ever see the movie Absolute Power with Clint Eastwood and John Malkovich? One of the things John Malkovich says in that movie, anybody can kill the president, you just have to give up your life to do it. And that's exactly what this kid tried to do. Crooks, you know, and if you're willing to do that, but God damn it, it's just not good for our country. I don't care who you are. I don't care who the target is. It's not good for anybody.
In the United States of America. So the idea that a report will be finalized in 60 days, let alone prior to any actionable decisions that would be made, is simply not acceptable. It has been 10 days since an assassination attempt on a former president of the United States, regardless of party. There need to be answers. Again, this party, this committee, this is not a moment of theater. We have to make policy decisions, and we have to make them now. We do. And that may be and that may require legislation. That may require policy that we must pass in the immediate term. And without that, we are flying blind. So the lack of answers and the lack of report is just simply not something that we can accept here. Director Cheadle, is there a standard perimeter that the Secret Service establishes around an event, or are those perimeters independently determined per event and scenario?
There is no standard. Every event and every venue is different and treated as such.
So each event has a different perimeter that is established depending on the logistics of that event. Now,
yeah, and in fact, you know, if there's a rooftop that's unavailable to the general public, but, you know, available to an unknown kind of psycho kid sniper in their 20s and weighs about 98 pounds, how would you deal with that?
You established earlier that the building upon which the shooter operated from was outside of that established perimeter, correct, for the Butler, Pennsylvania event?
But within 150 yards. Within 150 yards. And if you shoot a .223 round, it can go a lot further than 150 yards. And you saw what it did to his ear. It turned his ear into a hamburger. You know, he was so lucky. My understanding is that there was a bullet that went on the other side of him, too. This guy was just a bad shot. And 150 yards is not that far when you got a scope and a high-power rifle.
It was outside of our secure perimeter, yes.
Now, that building was, I believe, 500. How far away was that building from the president?
It was approximately 200 yards.
200 yards. Now, the individual used an AR-15 in order to act out his assassination attempt. An AR-15 has a range of about 400 to 600 yards. My question is, why does the Secret Service perimeter, why is the Secret Service protective perimeter shorter?
Shorter than the range of the firearm. Good question. Good question. Why wasn't somebody on that building? Why wasn't a cop sitting on, oh, it was too hot? It wasn't a sanitary environment? Was it just, you know, I don't know, sloped? Give me a break. I mean, there should have been somebody on that roof. Or somebody, around the building. There certainly shouldn't have been a fucking ladder up against the wall. Hey, he's got a gun. He's climbing the ladder. I mean, that cop should have fired a fucking round the minute he saw that. There's a cop that went up the ladder. How does that not get communicated? And he's pointed away from the Secret Service, right? So the guy walks up the ladder. A cop comes up after him. He's almost to the top, and he points the gun at the cop. At that point, he should have been blown away by the Secret Service. He just should have been.
Then one of the most popular semi-automatic weapons in the United States.
There are a number of weapons out there with a number of ranges. Again, an advance was completed. The determination of the perimeter, I'm not going to speak to specifics, but there are a number of factors that are taken.
I don't have an issue with the perimeter being is what it is, being 200 yards or whatever. I don't have any problem with the building being outside the perimeter. I do have a problem with the fact that it wasn't monitored.
You went down to Dallas to see where John Wilkes was.
Yeah.
How far was that? And tell me, you went up and saw it. So tell me what you experienced.
All right. So when a buddy of mine, a client of mine got out of prison and he went to go see his son for the first time, just did 5 years for drugs, right? And so he and I flew down to Dallas and rented motorcycles, and he's going to go see his son. Well, one of the things we did is we had dinner in this revolving restaurant right above Dealey Plaza. And then we also went to the book depository. And so I got a bird's eye view from both sides of where President Kennedy was shot. I was shocked at how close range that seemed. I mean, it looks like it's far away when you watch it on films and stuff, but it wasn't that far away. It looks so much closer when you're in that sniper's nest and you're looking down at the spot, and they've got the spot X'd right on the street where Kennedy was shot. It's really, if you haven't done that, I highly suggest you do that, because it really is part of our history and gives you, going to the book depository and seeing where that was and what happened, it gives you a different perspective altogether.
When we determine our perimeter, some of it has to do with terrain, some of it has to do with buildings, some of it has to do with assets and resources that are available.
And so what I'm hearing is that a perimeter was not established outdoors in an outdoor venue that would prevent an AR-15, which is one of the most common weapons used.
I don't think you can prevent an attack like that just on perimeter alone. I mean, okay, then if that's the case, well, why not a 50 cal where you can be a mile away? You could be literally a mile away and fire off a shot. Nobody would know where it's coming from, and it would be a cloud of red dust where his head used to be. That's not the issue. The issue is, why wasn't somebody on the building? Why wasn't a cop, why wasn't it communicated that, hey, there's somebody with a gun climbing a ladder to the roof? I mean, there were people filming it. Bystanders noticed. I mean, was it because you're in Hodunk, USA, in some small little fucking town, and you got Barney Fife for a fucking sheriff, and all of a sudden, oh, come on, Barn? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Used in mass shootings from being able to be within the range of Secret Service protection.
A perimeter was established, and even though there were buildings that were outside of that perimeter, it wasn't just that building, there were a number of buildings in the area, and there was overwatch that was created to help mitigate some of those buildings.
Respectfully, Dr. Cheadle, as well.
No, there wasn't. There was an overwatch to prevent something that was happening on one of those buildings. First of all, there weren't a whole lot of fucking buildings around. You look at the schematic of it, there weren't a whole lot of buildings around, except for this big fucking building about 150 to 200 yards away that gives you a bird's eye view of the head of the person you're trying to kill.
As a person who has experienced an enormous amount of threat incidents, including incidents that have never been
AOC, make this about you.
reported publicly, There is a common pattern that happens here, whether it's Secret Service, FBI, Capitol Police, local departments. After a critical security failure, we often hear there will be an independent investigation. That independent investigation gets set up. Usually the expectation is between 2 to 3 months after the incident, and then nothing really occurs from there. The report is usually not satisfactory to the questions that are usually being raised here. And most importantly, corrective action is rarely taken. If I were to state anything that I think is profoundly important, is that we need to have answers to the public. Ideally, I would encourage you and the agency to be more forthright with the members that still have yet to have their questioning, because the public deserves to have full confidence, and the stakes are too high. The violence that could break out in this political...
I don't disagree with what she's saying. And I don't disagree with the questions that Jim Jordan asked. This is not a partisan issue at all.
Moment, regardless of party, in the event of someone getting hurt, constitutes a national security threat to the entire country. Thank you, and I yield back.
Could I go back to something you
Yes,
said?
please, feel free, Director.
Ma'am, if I could just speak to something you said at the outset when you started your questioning. I want to assure you and everyone on this committee that I'm not waiting for a report to take action. We have been conducting analysis all along, and we have been adding additional features to our security details since this incident occurred.
And I'd hope you can highlight and illuminate what some of those are in the event of other members questioning as well.
What we saw here is, people very concerned about the Secret Service, very concerned about the level of protection, but it's not a partisan issue. The first questioner, the gal from North Carolina, Mace or whatever her name is, not helpful, is what it is. AOC, not that helpful. But the rest of the questioning seemed on point, and I just am just scratching my head over the colossal failure of just protecting the former president by a rooftop. I mean, it seems fundamental and social or Secret Service 101. Right. So now our content genius thinks we need to lighten the mood. So I haven't seen this, so let's just see what he's got in store for us. Because, he's there for us.
Fuck. I wake up, I see a nigga try to assassinate my nigga Trump, man. You should have known my nigga wasn't going stupid, nigga. Not look who in the ground, nigga. Alright, come on. Can't believe my nigga Trump got shot. What the fuck did dumb ass nigga doing? Trump that whole that we got. Nigga got shot in the face, so it's okay. My nigga Trump on top. Can't believe my nigga almost died to a climb.
Okay, well, we got a nice rap song about
My sniper on the roof made it bitch ass feel around. Thomas Matthew Crooks, I'm finna roll you, smoke you like a pound. You know it's coming in. Your stupid crazy ass going in the ground. You was shooting to miss, you couldn't see, but you can't see shit now, little nigga. Hey, my nigga Trump come back eating better, nigga. Y'all know it's to take off, nigga. Y'all make sure I go vote my nigga Trump, nigga. Yeah, make America great again, nigga.
Make America great again, fella. Okay, well, that was Michael's little gift to all of us. I think our brain atrophied a little bit. But we'll see you next time here in Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Make sure you subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook, because we're doing some things on Facebook that aren't on the regular channel. So go ahead and it's some older content, but it's still a goodie. So we'll see you, and follow us on Twitter. Sign up for Patreon. We'll see you next time on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away.
23-hour lockdown, police is at my god.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Today we're reacting to Coach to Ghost Hit List. Now, before we do, I just want to thank all of our subscribers. We are going crazy on YouTube. And to get advance notice of what we're going to be doing, sometimes we put it on Instagram. So follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and make sure you, if you have the wherewithal, $5, $10 over on Patreon, it goes to a good cause because we bail out people who can't afford it on very low bail, and there's no reason somebody should be sitting in bail for like $100 to $500 in bail. So without further ado, here is Coach to Ghost Hit List.
If I shot and I miss, I apologize. I done traumatized a lot of guys. We done made a lot of mamas cry.
Now, it starts right off the bat as what I perceive to be a self-snitching type video. What does he say? If I shot and missed, I apologize. I done traumatized a lot of guys. In other words, I'm a badass. I have killed a lot of people and shot at a lot of people.
No one day that I gotta die. I'm the first one to shoot when it's time to ride. Your man's dead, you ain't trying to slide. They rapping the capping by homicides. They was soaking, they shipping their eye ride. I know that.
So this guy is really talking about not really giving a rat's ass. I mean, he just doesn't give a shit. They talk about homicide. When I slide, I'm going to arrive. I mean, he's all about the life.
Keep me looking in the eyes. They know I'm a demon, they ain't surprised. All the I keep on lying, I wonder why. I keep a stick, I cannot go.
I keep a stick, I cannot go. In other words, I keep a firearm with me wherever I go.
Shot if you drop choke.
I keep a stick, I cannot go. You'll get shot if you drop Cho. In other words, if you falsely claim that you're Cho, that's a gang in New York, you're going to get shot.
Wipe your nose, then we swerving the Tahoe. Competition look nervous, they not close. You will get shot if you drop choke. You probably die if you drop folk. Wipe your nose, then we swerving the Tahoe. Competition look nervous.
Now, I don't know what this thing is, but that's one of the gang things that they do. And the competition is the ops. You look nervous, they not close.
They not close. I got plenty of hollows just for Casamado, but I don't really want the cops to follow. So I'ma get the drop from a little thought. She gon' line him, he get shot tomorrow. And I know
So I got plenty of hollows just for Customato. In other words, hollow points. That's what he's talking about. I don't really want the cops to follow, so I'm going to drop from the little thought. In other words, that hole over there. Remember that? So he's going to get the drop on this op, Customato, who's not a skinny guy by any means. And he's got a woman to help him. So Customato is an op, obviously, but to me, the only Customato that I know was Mike Tyson's trainer, and he was not a big guy. He was just a little Italian guy.
damn lie, he got shot in his man's eye with his gun up on him. I can't wait till I finally run up on him. How you know? He like 450, I keep hitters, they all sitchy, man. We don't gotta run up on him.
So he says he's 450, in other words, 450 pounds, and he's saying he's so fat that we don't have to run up on him. So, in other words, he ain't gonna get away no matter what happens.
Hey, how the hell you a Ghostbuster? I be tweaking if he with his beam. I'm feeding, I fuck around and shoot the both of them. Look, now let's take a trip.
Now, he says, hey, how the hell you a Ghostbuster? In other words, this is Coach to Ghost, right? And how you're gonna kill him? He's gonna kill you first. And he's, I fuck around and shoot the both of them. So he's this is really the snitching of all self-snitching videos, and he's really saying what he's going to do. Now, one of the things that people kind of say to me, "Oh, it's art. It's art. They can't use that in court because it's just a rapper just rapping." Well, here's the thing: if Customato died and he's anywhere near this, or they have any evidence at all of connecting him to this, this comes into play, period. because your own words can be used against you as long as they're relevant, no matter whether they come from a song or, or you telling somebody on the street.
On the road, he a goofy, I promise I'm just being honest. I got it, you spot him, then I'ma blow. It's about to get scary, just like it's a Marys. He chatting and acting like I don't know. I'm a GD, I'm coming in 3D, so make sure you lock up your door, cause I'll be close.
So I'm a GD, I'm coming in greedy, so you lock up your door because I be close. In other words, you're not safe because I'm a gangster disciple.
I'm Santa Claus and this is Christmas, so guess who's next on this hit list? I know y'all never won't forget this. I'm a shark eating all the fishes. They can bark, but it ain't vicious.
This is actually I kind of like the imagery here. I'm Santa Claus and this is Christmas, so guess who's next on this hit list? And Shine. I know y'all never forget this. I'm a shark eating all the fishes. They can bite, but it ain't vicious. So please don't ever get it twisted. I like it really fits. But it is vicious. It ain't vicious, it's vicious.
Your own homie put his feet on your brain and he probably living cause it's you, of course. Out of all of these capping rappers, did you ever think that I would ever show you remorse? And don't think you safe cause you woo from the veil, shots fired.
Now, Woo is another gang in New York, and that's the op gang for the Chos. And so that's what he's talking about there. And, this is so out there. It's so in your face. And I think it's meant to be that way, obviously. It's not just art.
I don't got a pretty sore. Hit his whip and I'm cruising off. Then I smoke me a spliff in the newest pause. Stop blowing my high, is you ready to die? You know for the 6 I ride.
Stop blowing my high, you ready to die. For the 6 I ride. And what is the 6? The gangster disciple sign. So, and we don't just die. We multiply. And like I said, the 6 is G disciples, and it represents a 6-pointed star that they use for their symbol.
We multiply, he giving me 6-9 vibes. I'm a felon, I ain't telling, I'm showing and all.
And we don't just die, we multiply. He's giving me 6-9 vibes. And what I take that to mean is that if you remember Tekashi 6ix9ine, what did he do? He was a snitch of all snitches. And you don't see much of him around right now. And I think that's because he's on supervised release. So that tells me that if someone's giving me a 6ix9ine vibe, that they ain't safe.
Switch my side. I thought I told you not to drop folk. I thought I told you not to drop choke. I was searching and looking for Fabio. Fuck around and got Addy on Guapo. He still
I thought I told you not to drop folk. I thought I tried not to drop Cho. I was searching looking for Fabio. Fuck around and got this Addy on Guapo. So in other words, I told you not to fake like you're from our gangs, and I'm looking for Fabio, and now I got the address for Guapo. So he's still coming for him. So he's got the drop on Guapo.
He's still trying to be famous, but bullets don't care if you hot, bro. Baby, you should take heed.
That's a good line right there. Bullets don't care if you're hot, though. Some of this stuff, when these rappers make millions of dollars, do you think any of that matters to their mother when they're lying in a wood box? Because, like he said, bullets don't care if you're rich, no matter who you are.
We don't gotta kill him, look, we could just rob him and drill him and show him he's not broke. Remove the cheese from his nacho psych, we knocking meat out his taco. You get money, then why you...
and it's kind of interesting. We don't gotta kill him, we just gotta drill him. And I love this line. We remove the cheese from his nachos, and we knocked the meat out of his tacos. I love that line. What does that mean?
It's not your sight. We knocking meat out his taco. And if you get money, then why you condoning the same shit that got Pop Smoke?
So he's talking to his ops, and he's basically saying, why are you condoning the same shit that got Pop Smoke? Now, Pop Smoke is a rapper, and I think a lot of you guys are probably familiar with who Pop Smoke was. Pop Smoke, and this is one of the things that drives me crazy about social media. Everybody's got to put everything on social media. Well, last year, Pop Smoke was renting a house in California. He put the home in the background, and then he bought a bunch of stuff, and he's, doing that thing and making it rain, showing everybody what he's got. And, when you do that, guess what? You can become a target. Well, he was robbed. And not only was he robbed, he was shot and killed by 4 hooded bandits, and they got them all in California. So be careful what you put online.
Not bro, baby. A lot of niggas really hate me. I pop a perk and go crazy. Spin the bill and look for JD. Shun, but the chody just hit me while I'm in pursuit and show me JD locked for a rape.
So he's talking about all these people that hate him. And then he starts talking about, how somebody's locked up for a rape charge. You know what happens in jail when you get a rape charge or prison? It's give it up or fight. And they don't do well in prison. Have you ever heard the line, a good cellie sleeps on his belly?
And I'm not trying to say that he might get convicted, but y'all know what happens in state yards for a rape charge. I swear to my mama, I hate y'all. If they find another...
See that? I didn't even see that line. You know what happens to y'all for a rape charge when you're in a state charge? I swear my mom, I hate y'all. That's the lowest of the low. Well, I guess there's one level lower than somebody in a rape charge. If you rape a kid, they call those chomos, and that is the lowest of the low.
But that's 8, y'all. I'm a star and a couple people want me gone, but I'ma shoot first, I'm a face card. So I guess that is looking like 8, y'all. I'm lying, I'm doing the race, y'all. It's a science, my soul keep on crying, I'm liable to probably up it on Jake's, y'all.
You know what? He admits that he's a felon in the video. And he's I'm lying Buddha probably up it on the Jakes like he's gonna take out a cop. Dead ops, I can see them in you. Fuck a deal. It's pretty out there.
I can see the menu. Fuck a deal, I don't need a venue. It's a hit list for the lit crips and the fake woos just to be continued.
Pretty amazing stuff there. That was Coach to Ghost hit list. And this is part of the New York drill scene. Now, when you put stuff online, whether it's, self-snitching or whether you're just bragging about what you got, it is not without consequence. And, Pop Smoke, he was only 20 years old. And when you are sitting there and you put all this stuff out there, there's people that want to be you, people jealous because of what you have. Better to be reserved and hit the golf course. So this has been Bruce Rivers, another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Really appreciate the support. Love the suggestions. We do take them all into consideration. There's so many of them, we can't get to all of them, but we'll try to get to some. So keep up the suggestions. Love the comments, even the negative ones. Just so you know, I've seen it a few times. I'm not a Fed. I'm a criminal defense lawyer. The reason I do some of this stuff is to let you guys know what you shouldn't be doing. Because I don't, you think I want to see another dead black 20-year-old man? I'd rather see a live 40-year-old man who had a illustrious career and bouncing grandkids on his knee. So this has been Bruce Rivers, Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and we'll see you next time.